It's YouTube Wednesday! What I'm basically doing is I'm trying to even this out. It has a lot of tool marks in it, bumps and lumps, and I'm just trying to get it to be smooth like a baby. I also have a heater on it because I'm trying to get it to dry out a bit. The drier the clay is, the faster it'll suck up moisture, which means the faster the caulk will dry. the faster the caulk will dry. I'm just smoothing it as much as I can. Now, this tool is called a kidney. I'm scraping and smoothing. Okay, I have some Johnson's paste wax here that I'm going to use for a mold release on the table. I'm holding it with pliers because I had it on the stove top to make it nice and liquidy. And I'm going to just paint the table around the sculpture with the Johnson's paste wax. And that is going to make it release really easy from the silicone caulk I'm about to put down. Or else the silicone caulk would stick, and I don't want that. I want to make sure that everything around the table is good and covered so that it does not stick. I'm going about 3 inches out. I'm not going to take my mold out that far, but I want to take my wax out that far, just to be cautious. Now I'm going to hit the eyes inside the sculpture here, because the eyes of this are obviously plaster, and I don't want the silicone caulk to stick into the porous plaster. Just some final touching. You can finesse a project and work on details for hours and hours and hours. I know what I'm going to do with this sculpture. I know the kind of mask I'm going to make. And I want a distressed finish on it. So I'm not going near as crazy as I could on smoothing this guy out. I think it's released now. I'm going to start getting ready and doing the silicone caulk. I'm going to open up my naphtha. Whenever I use naphtha, I wear gloves because the naphtha can be absorbed into your skin, and over time, it's really not good for you. I have 100% silicone caulk. I'm putting that into a glass jar, not plastic. With my naphtha. I'm going to seal the jar, and then I will shake it up really good. I'm also going to stir it with a stick, but I like to shake it just to make sure I've done as much as I can to get this mixed. It takes a little while for the naphtha to be absorbed into the silicone caulk, but I have gotten it a little bit thinner than what it was. It's certainly paintable now, whereas before it was not. I'm going to add a little more naphtha and continue mixing until I feel it is good and paintable enough to capture my detail layer. I've got this where it is paintable now. You can see it's a little clumpy, but it's coming off the brush really well. And I'm going to start on the base edge of my mask and just start painting in a layer of this mold. This will be my first layer. And I just want to get good coverage all the way around the base first and establish a flange about as wide as a brush all the way around the piece that is going to be part of the mold. And by that, I'm just brushing the table right next to it to make that flange. And the only thing the naphtha is there for is to thin out the caulking, and it will also evaporate quickly and allow this to dry a little bit faster than if I thin the silicone caulk with something else. As I get up towards the face, I'm going to add a little more naphtha into my caulking. As I add more naphtha, I'm going to get this even thinner and more brushable. And I know it's going to go smoothly over top of my sculpture. I don't want to brush so hard that I leave brush marks in the sculpt. And it's a good idea to let your sculpture sit for a bit so it becomes leather hard before you mold it. I'm getting an even coat over this whole thing, which will be fairly thin. Maybe 1/8 of an inch everywhere and up to 1/4 of an inch in the big areas and the gaps. Okay. I'm going to paint. I don't want to fill inside the mouth because this won't dry very well if I do that. So I just want to paint inside the mouth, and I don't want it to pool there. I now have a layer, and I need for this to dry. Got to let this layer dry before I can put on the next layer. This layer is dry to the touch. It's a little bit tacky, but it's still, it's dry enough to proceed. This took about 1.5 hours. And I had a heater near it and a box on this side of it to move some warm air around it. So, this is several layers and it's going to take a bit of time. The advantage that AB silicone has is it's a lot faster. So there's just more speed. I have a thing of black silicone caulk. Alright, which I'm changing up the colors in between layers in order to make sure that I get good coverage. So the next layer I'll do will be a different color yet. Adding my naphtha here. And that's just black silicone caulk with naphtha added. Doesn't have to be quite as thin as the first batch because all my details are covered. Make sure that when you do this you have good ventilation. Okay. I now have an even layer of black over the whole thing. I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to do several more layers in order to build up the right thickness. I'll probably do about 5 layers. Let this sit for another hour with the heater near it and moving the air around with the cardboard box on the other side.